Halloween
Forever.
Good morning? Question mark, Steven. How are you?
Yes, it is technically morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Little peek behind the curtain, guys. Sometimes for us, it's morning. Steve, I got one for you.
Okay.
You know what I've been trying lately? You know, when I've been feeling a little blue, I've been trying art therapy. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it.
Have you heard of this thing the kids are talking about? It's hot in the streets. Yeah, when I'm feeling a little down, my wife, she lets me draw on her. My wife, she lets me draw on her. You know, just draw. Just it's just I don't know why it's therapeutic for me. It makes me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
She's wonderful. She always gives me a shoulder to cry on.
Wow.
Whales and ghouls to a very special Showdown episode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
Yikes, my bikes. I'm Steve.
That was a long way to go for a very small payoff, which is my favorite type of joke, honestly.
right out of the gate from the chat, off to an incredible stop from Dan.
I love a really, really long setup for a not great payoff. That is pretty much the story of my life. Anyway, guys, I'm excited because today, this very day on which we're recording this, which is usually a day or two before the first Monday of the month. But today we're actually recording on the first Monday of the month on Labor Day. I don't know when this is going to come out. Steve, this is going to come out today. It's going to come out tomorrow. Or whenever you get around. Listen, we got a holiday, guys. We had a busy weekend. We had things to do. So we're recording a little later than expected. But I'm excited because it is officially September. It is September the 1st. And you know what that means? We are into what is arguably one of the top 3 spookiest months of the year, guys. Spooky season is officially upon us. I've got some beverages to prove it. Steve, do you be sipping on something? I know it's a little early in the day today.
Yeah, I do got a Bevro.
Yeah.
And it's kind of spooky too.
Yeah.
But yeah. I have from Helltown.
Yeah.
Right out of there and at their Export PA.
Beautiful Export PA.
This is their Hellfire Alchemist, which is a Baltic porter brewed with Grim Wizard cold brew coffee.
Hell yeah.
So, and it is 7.9%.
A Baltic porter. I will submit this to the audience, and you tell me if you think that I'm right about this. A Baltic porter, even more than an imperial stout, even more than any other style, is the most metal of beer styles.
Yeah, it is the most metal of beer styles. And
maybe a Rauch beer is close. Maybe a Rauch beer is close.
In my personal opinion, I would put a Rauch beer up there higher than the other ones. Mm-hmm. Especially because there was like a dark Schwarzbier, Rauch beer that Schlenkerla put out. So I think that might be the most metal.
You do a smoked Baltic porter. Holy shit. You're gonna end up.
That's too much.
You're gonna be drinking it, and all of a sudden you're gonna be jacking off Satan. That's just how it's gonna go. You're gonna wake up at 3 a.m. with Satan's dick in you. Yeah, I love both of those styles. I like that people are brewing Baltic porters once again. You might be saying to yourself, what the hell's a Baltic porter? Here's what it is. Somebody making an imperial stout in the Baltic states where they make lager beers. So it's like a big, dark, 7-8+% black lager with all types of, roast and or dark fruit type of components to it. I love it. It's like a Russian imperial stout without the headache, but with more, respect and admiration for Satan, I would say.
I would say that too.
How's that one drinking? How's that one drinking on you?
It is actually I don't want to say it's bad, but it is like rough. Like it's a lot for the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like it punched me in the face.
Yeah.
It was a lot to just jump into first thing in the morning.
Yeah. 11 a.m. drinking on a Baltic Porter. That's a big one. It's not an easy style to make, too. I've had plenty of them that are just bad versions because it is a relatively difficult style to make. People don't condition it long enough. They don't lager it long enough. They're putting too much roast character in it instead of more of those like dark fruit, licoricey types of things because they're not conditioning it long enough, guys. I'm fiery pissed off with opinions about brewing. All right.
Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I don't think I'm wrong about this. But one of the reasons why we can call Baltic Porter such a metal beer is because it's associated with the city of Danzig.
I think there is some history there. Yeah, I think they were brewing these. It was when it became quite fashionable. The Imperial Stout, right? So the Imperial Court of Catherine the Great, right? Was she the fourth? Catherine the Fourth, perhaps, aka Catherine the Great. I don't know. She was that Imperial Court of Russia was very fashionable. They were trendsetters in Europe. And when they started getting this beer that was first brewed by the English, then the Baltic brewers were like, hey, we got to figure out how to make a version of this. And then they were making lager beers. So they made like a lager version of it. So basically it's like a Baltic, let's say Lithuanian, thereabouts. Who knows I don't know where the first person to brew one was. Lithuanian version of a beer made popular by Russian leaders who had it brewed for them by British brewers. So you can see there's a bit of translation that happened. In any case, yummy beer. A little different than what your boy's going after right now. And I want to set the scene here. I'm watching in the background, Are You Afraid of the Dark? We've got the Zebo episode on in the background. And I stayed up way too late last night. Me and my cousin stayed up till like 3 a.m. watching stupid movies. I did watch my movie, which I'm going to be talking about today. Not the first time watch. I'd seen it before, but watched it, for the pre-show here. And then we watched a couple other ones. Watched a movie called Seed People, which is a full moon feature. Are you familiar with Seed People?
Yeah. No, but now that you say it's a full moon feature, all right.
Yeah, 92 maybe. It was a full moon feature I had not seen before. It had some real fun moments. It honestly was the most just abrupt nothing ending I'd ever seen I'd seen in a long time. We were like, oh, this is going to be a culmination to a big thing. Some cool practical effects, some weird little creatures, roly-poly type of creatures. And then it was just like movie over, bye, credits, go fuck yourself. Not surprising for a full moon feature I'd literally never heard of. But me and my cousin were getting through some Oktoberfest last night. We drank some stuff, and then we drank a Bubba keg of Spaten Fest beer. I've been getting back into the Bubba kegs. I'm about bringing back the Bubba kegs. Party balls. I'm getting into bringing home these weird draft things at home, but I had a little bit left of it this morning and it held up pretty good. There's still carbonation to it, but I am drinking the last, couple of 0.3 liters of Spaten Fest beer from the Bubba keg from last night. So I'm getting into it. I also, let me wet my whistle there. I'm also drinking coffee because it's before noon and I was up very late last night and got to bounce those uppers and downers. Yeah. Coffee. And I bought my first little bottle of pumpkin spice creamer. So I've been getting into that pumpkin spice creamer this week. And I'll drink that straight through until Halloween's over. Then I'll get the peppermint mocha and I'm a black coffee guy, except for September through December. Then I put the creamer in it.
Need the mint. I need that mint.
Love a mint. But right now I got the pumpkin spice. So we're setting the stage. It's very spooky in this motherfucker. And we're going to be talking about our September Showdown. We do have a couple of things we got to do at the top of the show, but just to remind everybody, and I am going to remember it, I am going to mess it up. It's Death for the Sake of Art or something. I forget what the topic is.
Yes.
God damn it. I got it right. Death for the Sake of Art. We're going to do some spooky movies about art. Just to remind you, I did a movie from 1980 called Fade to Black. Steven is going to talk about Murder Party from 2007. And then the Patreon community collectively, although I do think this is a pick from one individual. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, they all pick a movie, and then I spin a wheel, and then the winner gets theirs chosen. So this is from our patron, James.
Oh, James
who suggested.
Yes,
yeah.
James picked. Because this is a singular pick. This is not a pick that you get from a group, right? This is a singular pick.
This one was a deep dive because I had never seen it before. I assumed you hadn't either.
Nope, never saw it. First time watch for me. James picked Bag Boy Lover Boy from 2014. So we will talk about all that shit here in a hot sec. But Steven, before we go any further, why don't you tell the boils and ghouls a little bit about what's going over on the Patreon? How's that happening?
Yeah, you go on to patreon.com/HalloweenIsForever. You sign up. You give us $5, which is what we love.
I love money. I love the five. I love a $5. Oh, a tasty, well-cooked, medium rare $5 bill. Doesn't get any better than that for me. Take your 10, stick them up your ass. I want a $5.
Yeah. You know that website Fiverr? This is like that, but in reverse. You're not looking for work. You're coming to us because we already provide the work. We already put the hours in.
That's it.
But
I love that analogy.
We're already doing it. So you just got to come get it. Come get it.
Come get it. Ring the dinner bell. Yum, yum, yum. Come get that content.
Eat it up.
Yeah.
Come eat it up, pigs.
Come get it, you sticky little pigs. Give us your money.
But what you get is a whole bunch of things, including a whole bunch of interaction with the show. You get on the Discord. You get to see shows happen live. You can see Brian's, little cutie of beer that he has with him. You can see the cool wizard artwork on my can of beer. You can see what we're drinking. You can interact live with the show. You can fire off barbs like Dan already did, criticizing jokes. You get all that interaction up front. You get extra votes when we do Showdown episodes. You get to suggest episodes when we open it up to the patrons. So you can suggest movies. You can suggest movies at any time you want, but we do give priority to our patrons. And you get reviews and recos. And you get weird posts as I put them up. And maybe you'll see like an early t-shirt design if I decide to provide one. And you see all kinds of other shit. And on top of all that, you get a monthly exclusive podcast. Right now we're working with 90s is Forever, which is our series of comedy films from the 90s with some horror connection, but the bigger connection is they were all made on cocaine and they're all not funny.
They're not funny, genuinely not funny, but coke riddled. So if you have some sort of, I don't know, some sort of comedic kink where you think cocaine fueled jokes are funny, you might think it's funny, but objectively not funny, but fun to talk about. And then you also get all of our 2 previous Patreon exclusive podcast series, 10 episodes each, long episodes, typically speaking. To Steve and I really deep dive on these sons of bitches. We really
kick the shit out of these bad movies.
We really indulge. Some of these episodes are like 3+ hours, but it's us talking about weird right-wing Christian propaganda horror movies. That was the series that I hosted and made Steve do. And then prior to that, Steve made me watch, which I still need to remind everyone, that was the inciting incident. So no matter what happens, I just want you to all remember that it was Steve's fault.
He started
because he started it. He made me watch all the Fast and the Furious movies. So in any case, we're having a lot of fun over there. We're over halfway through 90s is Forever. And if you've got suggestions for what I should do next because it ain't that many months away for our next Patreon exclusive podcast series. Let me know, because your boy's got zero ideas. Okay. Yeah, go over patreon.com/Halloween is forever. Give us your paper money. Give us your delicious $5, and we'll give you some tasty content in response. Now, remember, we also put out some yummy, sticky, sweet, salty, ooey gooey, nougat encrusted content on the interwebs every damn Monday. But of course, the first Monday of every month is when we do what's called a Showdown episode, which is what we're doing today. And you might say to yourself, what's a Showdown episode? Well, here's what it is. We have a big old spinny ass wheel with a bajillion topics on it. We spin it. We get 3 potential topics. They could be subgenres. They could be performers. They could be tropes. They could be themes, whatever. We put them out on the social medias for our friends and listeners to vote on. They pick one, and then me, Steve, and our guest, or in this particular instance, our Patreon community, specifically this month, James, picked a movie associated with that topic. And now we're going to have a motherfucking barn burner. We're going to have an old-fashioned slobber knocker. We're going to talk about all 3 movies. Somebody is going to get a strong elbow. Somebody's going to get a stiff high kick. Somebody's going to get a hanging vertical suplex. And then eventually somebody is going to take home that son of a bitch championship strap for the month. They get to hand down a punishment movie next week on our mini-sode. Yeah, all kind of fun stuff. So that's what we do be doing on this, the most sacred Saturday, or most sacred Monday. Oh, why did I say Saturday?
I don't know.
Why did I say Saturday? It's several days off. The most sacred Monday of the month, which is, of course, the first Monday. Okay. I'm getting a real toxic mix of caffeine, and now got some booze going on top of a brain that was already metabolizing booze from last night, and your boy's getting real topsy-turvy. So let's jump into this showdown. Steve, you won last month. You are the champ. Yes. You currently hold that son of a bitchin' championship strap. So
current champ, yes.
Of course, to the victors go the spoils. So you get to pick the order in which we discuss these movies.
I think I want to go in reverse chronological order. And so I think we'll start with Bag Boy Lover Boy.
Okay.
And then go to Murder Party, and then end on Fade to Black.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Let me grab my note skis here. All right. So like we said, this was a pick. Bad Boy Lover Boy. You had not seen this, you said, correct? And I had not seen this.
Mm-hmm.
So first time watch for both of us. This is 2014, categorized as a horror comedy ? It definitely has some comedic elements, but I wouldn't call this a laugh out loud funny type of movie. It's more of like there are some comedic moments, or moments that could be perceived as comedic, but I don't think most folks would call this a comedy, right? This isn't a la type of comedy.
Yeah, it's a real like black comedy, a real laughing because you're uncomfortable comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot going on that it's just like, it's a sleazy, grimy film, and you may find yourself laughing at that, but it's not like Murder Party, which has like actual like punchline jokes.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good way of characterizing it. It's more of a laugh because you're uncomfortable overall. We'll get into it because I'm interested to see what everybody thought about this movie. I will say, I'll spoil it, at least my opinion on it. The first half of it, I was like, what are we doing here? And then I will say it grew on me a little bit. It did grow on me a little bit. I watched it in two viewings. I was out of town traveling for work, so I'm in a hotel. I get back from a long day of being in meetings and literally talking all day. So I just like lay down in bed, put this on, start watching it, and I'm just like, I can't get into it. Then the next evening, I sat down and watched the rest of it, I was a lot more in the zone. I was a lot more focused on it. And I did, like I said, I did enjoy the wrap up of it. This is directed by Andres Torres. He has, as far as I know, directed and wrote one film. And it is called Bag Boy Lover Boy. Is this movie? This is a singular situation for him. This is not a cast of character. This is not a cast of performers. Maybe with the exception of perhaps one that you would ever have seen before. Theodore Bolokos. Yeah. Which you may have seen him in. He's actually been in a lot of things. I think most genre film fans, maybe Hell House LLC, the Hell House LLC franchise, I think he's involved in. But he's been in quite a few things. I think he's probably the only performer you would have seen before. It stars John Wachter, I guess. Wachter, I'm not sure. W-A-C.
I've seen it also spelled with an umlaut elsewhere.
Okay. Yeah.
Because he is of some sort of Scandinavian descent.
Oh, Scandinavian. I was going to say, speaking of Baltic borders, I was going to say Eastern Europe, but yeah, we're in that. We have a strong one of those just broadly European accents.
Yeah.
And he plays the I don't know, not the protagonist, but he is certainly the main character. I guess he's probably the protagonist. Albert. And then not a ton of characters in here, not a ton of people you see a ton on screen, but you see Theodore Bolokos as Ivan. Those are the two kind of main characters. We have a couple other ones that pop in and out. But it is in a lot of ways kind of a character study of Albert. He would be, I think, the titular bag boy / lover boy. So this is one of those movies it's relatively short. I think the runtime is like under an hour and a half. I'm going to say it was like 80 some minutes, right? Character study on Albert. Not a ton happens in this movie. But there are some big kind of inciting scenes, but there is a lot of just like, again, watching Albert go about the quirkiness of his everyday life. Albert is a hot dog vendor. Okay. So he works in, do they say the city? It feels very New York City.
It's New York. Yeah, it's New York.
Oh, they do say like, the Lower East Side or wherever he's at one point.
Yeah. It's New York.
So he's a hot dog vendor in Manhattan, late night, food stall that you would see not in a particularly populated or high traffic area, just in like a dingy corner somewhere in Manhattan. And he's cooking hot dogs. He works the night shift, like the late overnight shift. So as you might imagine, not a lot of business, not a lot of hustle and bustle, just the occasional, drunk people coming up and ordering food, that sort of thing. He is just hanging out in the truck. He's a very he has a unique look to him, I will say, right? In the sense that he's got a big ass head and a real skinny body. I think that's and he's got the like classic like how do I put this without sounding too mean? He's got this like skinny body, long arms, S curve in his spine, just like, negative muscle tone, very scruffy looking, hair. Looks like he's just kind of like buzzed his head and then let it grow out for 6 months, which I have been, known to do on occasion. Scruffy neck beard, negative jawline, and gnarly teeth. I think that is the best way to describe Albert. He's not a good looking man, traditionally speaking.
No, not traditionally good looking. Like, big light bulb head. So it's like big on top and then no jaw on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how much this was exaggerated, but like when they get to the scenes where they make him take his shirt off, and like you said, he has the S curve in his spine that goes the wrong way, but then like he has like a pot belly that he looks like he's I can't tell if it's just his body or if he's sticking it out for effect.
He's like hunched over, shoulders kind of popping out. I think he is definitely dramatizing the nature of his body. But it's there, right? It's there. We're seeing it in all its glory.
Yeah. You said you weren't in when you tried to watch the movie the first time, but I was completely in because I just saw like what a grimy movie this was going to be. And it delivers on just being that kind of grease and grime. And like within the first even 10 minutes or so, we have a fucking gummo scene.
Yeah.
Of he's laying in this dirty, dingy apartment with a mattress on the floor, and he's eating the hot dogs he couldn't serve from the night.
Yeah.
He's eating hot dogs out of a fucking Ziploc bag under a fluorescent light that is just flickering on and off. Like, it would give you a fucking like possible seizure if you have like epilepsy. And it's just like this epileptic scene of him eating hot dogs by himself, just staring off into nothing. And it's just like, God, this movie is going to be fucking bad in some sort of way.
Well, yeah, it definitely has big Harmony Korine vibes early on. And maybe I should specify very early on, I was like, oh, this is going to be goofy and interesting and silly. And I've never seen it. So I'm excited. And then I think like probably the 1/3 of the way through the movie when we were just waiting for things to actually happen, because some stuff happens early and then it goes back to nothing happening for a while. And I think that's kind of where I lost momentum on it. But again, my exhausted, I taught a class that day and literally spoke for like 8 straight hours. So I was just like mentally burned out. But yeah, this reminded me so much of in college. My cousin worked at a hot dog shop, and at the end of the night, they would get the big late night rush of all, because it was on a college campus or right near a college campus. So they get the late night rush of all the drunk kids. But when they closed at like midnight, there'd still be a lot of hot dogs on the grill. He would just throw them into a box, to-go box, for hot dogs, and just bring them home with like a little to-go, like half-quarter chili. And then we would sit in his room and just dip hot dogs into the chili and just eat them like candy bars. And we would eat like 8 hot dogs that way, because you're a college kid and you're like free dinner, right? Yeah. So I really, maybe that's why I didn't find that too great, because I literally feel like I did that exact situation.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, it's not a situation that I would poo-poo in, like, I probably would find myself in at some point. Like, fuck it, man. I ate a cold hot dog on a bun this morning, like, just for breakfast. Like, I'm not that far off. It's just my lights are working and my mattress isn't on the floor.
Well, and also your teeth don't look like that.
Yeah, my teeth aren't. Yeah, like my teeth aren't great, but also they don't look like that. So
I think when you're eating something and you have really, really bad teeth and he's chewing with his mouth open and they're really highlighting the chewing noises, that's what was getting to me. It was a intentionally unpleasant scene. But the thing about it is Albert just pretty content, just kind of feeling it, right?
Yeah.
I do want to get your opinion on this, because Albert, you could tell his first language is not English, so he speaks with a heavy accent. He also does seem to have some sort of intellectual disability, perhaps.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could pinpoint what that is, but he just a little bit struggles to. He feels like he has the mentality of like an 8-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I don't think the actor actually has like a mental disability.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like pinpoint it down into something, but I think he is just like your regular run of the mill simpleton. Like, I don't know. We don't just talk about how we just have regular simpletons out there sometimes who just like, they just don't get shit.
He doesn't. He doesn't pick up on stuff. He's very very simplistic, but also rather poignant in the way he speaks about things. Sometimes, but yes, he's not a high concept fellow. And he's also very easily influenced, I should say, as well. Highly impressionable.
Yeah, very impressionable.
Mm-hmm.
And because he sees, like, you're saying how, like, not a lot happens, but a lot of the scenes, they have, like, conflict in them, but it doesn't seem like we're being driven in a specific direction. We're just being loaded up with a lot of different conflicts in Albert's life because, it's a little bit more of a character study. So, like, he has this conflict with a drunk guy buying a hot dog. So we see that, his life working at the hot dog stand isn't great.
Yeah.
Then he meets this, photographer guy who's very confident. And this is Ivan. And, Ivan's very confident and he drives off this guy. But then also Ivan has like money to throw around and, he makes a lot of money as a photographer. So, OK, that sets that up. And then we meet the girl that Albert has a bit of a crush on because she always comes to the hot dog stand and he gives her hot dogs. And then he sees that she's taken away by a photographer from Albert. So, like, Albert, the gears start working and the puzzles, falls into place. The very simplistic puzzle of a cow that is, 8 pieces, falls into place for Albert. He goes, photographers make money. Photographer took away girl. If I photographer, I take a girl.
Yeah, I get girl. Yeah, that's a great setup. He sees a separate photographer or wannabe photographer take away a girl who is at first, kind of, what's her name again?
I believe it's Sarah.
Sarah. That's Sarah. Somebody who she's kind of manipulating him a little bit. She seems to, be living also a pretty difficult life. At least initially, she's talking about how she hasn't eaten in a while. She's not, at least at this point, she's not without a place to live, but later on she is. Anyway, she's kind of manipulating, flirting with him a little bit to get free hot dogs, essentially. And he thinks, Albert being the, like you said, run-of-the-mill simpleton that he is, he doesn't get that that's what's happening. He thinks that she, has some romantic interest in him, perhaps. Albert stands up for himself for the most part. And he is like surprisingly assertive, but he also, when money is involved, he's very easily manipulated, right? Because he's living in this like 1 bedroom, looks like it honestly looks like a cell, right? With some posters on the wall and a mattress on the floor. And, he's got his shirts hung on the wall. That's about it. So
it's
anyway,
also how it's New York City, because that's the kind of place you can afford on a hot dog vendor's fucking wage.
Yeah, right. So he eventually goes and Ivan takes some interest in him and, hey, do you want to come work for me? And he's like, I already have a job. I am hot dog guy, and Ivan seduces him with money, gives him like I forget, a big tip or something.
Yeah.
And his card and says, come on over, check it out. So eventually Albert does show up there and he's like, wants to learn more about this potential job. And you can tell that Ivan and his, 2 kind of assistants, there's like a makeup person and then the makeup person, her significant other, she seems to be some sort of, I don't know if she's officially employed there, but she's around, and they're just railroading Ivan into like they're kind of placating him. They're railroading him into, we don't know what, but they put him in the makeup chair, and then eventually they usher him onto a little photo shoot set where there is a woman there, and she is clearly dressed to take some exotic photographs, and they take Albert's shirt off and like, here, Albert, have they're like egging him on, but he doesn't fully understand what's happening. The girl's like coming on to him. They're not having sex. It's more like fetish photos, right?
Yeah.
It's like this goofy, unattractive guy getting the upper hand in a like a sexual power struggle type of way with this beautiful woman. That's the fetish, right? And it results in eventually Albert being told to put a bag over her head. This is a very confusing encounter with Albert. He kind of develops a bit of a, again, it's a monkey see, monkey do situation. So he's learning things. He first of all thinks this is what photographers do. This is art. There's certainly a sexual component, but he doesn't fully understand it. And he's being very much like preyed upon by Ivan and his staff here. Like he's being put through the ringer. And then when it's over, he's like, oh, that was fun. When does work start? And they're like, that was work, Ivan. And he's like, he doesn't get it, that he was just kind of like railroaded into this like weird modeling gig. And then they're like, all right, well, see you, Ivan. We'll call you when we have more work for you to do. And Albert. Yes. And he's just like, all right, bye. And then he's just done. Right. He goes back to his room and he's just like, what, it's kind of like a, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. He's very much like insistent of like, he wants to be a photographer. He thought he was there to show up to be photographer because that's what he wants. Obviously that's what was already set up. Mm-hmm. This is, God damn it, we have to talk about it though, but this is another fucking gummo scene in which she feeds him the whipped cream covered strawberry.
Oh yeah.
And it just, he has a big spittle line from his fucking lips to the strawberry, and then like it's hanging. It's not perfect continuity, it's a low budget film, but like in some of the scenes where he's strangling her and then like after he's getting talked down to by Ivan, there's just a fucking big line of fucking spit hanging off his mouth while his face is also covered in whipped cream. It's like, oh God, this sleaze ass movie.
There's a lot of gross mouth stuff happening. Yeah.
I had to look it up because like you said, like this is pretty much the only film that Andres Torres is known for as a director. He's produced like a number of shorts since, and then I think he runs like a camera rental house. But like I was trying to figure out, like, was this like a student film?
It felt like it. Yeah, it had the vibe of a student film. I mean, obviously with the low budget production value, but also the, I don't even want to say this in a negative way, but it's meandering, I would call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in its story structure.
Yeah, it's not like tightly focused the way some other films would be. It's not like, I will say some of the acting is pretty fucking rank.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the acting is just people reading lines rather than responding. Like they're reading lines the way they think they should be read rather than responding to the actual action happening.
Yeah.
And so like that felt very like kind of amateurish. But yeah, I was reading and like, this is kind of the only film that Andre Torres did. I found an interview where he said like he did do this after, like I guess he might have quit film school, but like he said he was studying film and then went on to just like, he said he got tired of kind of like the scene that he was in because a lot of the people he said the film was inspired by the people he was working with in kind of the film scene.
Yeah.
That they were, a lot of people were just like users.
Sure.
And so like the character of Ivan we see is just a very user type person. He takes advantage of everybody around him. And so he made this film like against those people. And then, and then just because of the way the film looks, I was like, was this like, who was this inspired by? And, because it looks I thought it had like trauma vibes to it, as well as, like Henenlotter. And then like, I found the confirmation in an interview. He said he was like inspired by like, basket case in Troma.
Yeah, you could tell
So-
the griminess of the grimy side of New York City for sure. Very Frank Henenlotter vibes.
Mhm.
Just 20, 30 years later, whatever. But
Yeah.
so,
Which is actually kind of impressive to get that grime in 2014.
yeah. Well, like I
after
said,
it's
they did
become
a side
tourist trap.
street. Yeah, it's not the they're not in Times Square. They're not in the
Right.
obviously by 2014 there is no Skid Row type of nudie theater vibe to Times Square. So they're off somewhere in the, I think they say like Lower East Side or something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Albert gets this idea that he wants to learn how to be a photographer, and he keeps, the crew, Ivan and his lackeys keep like egging him on. Like, you do this, Ivan says, I'll teach you how to be a photographer. But he has no intention, of course, of teaching Albert how to be a photographer. But then Albert eventually calls him up and says, come on over, we got another shoot to do. And Albert's like, nope, I don't want to do this. I want to be so he does have some agency. He sticks up for himself. Ultimately, they do lure him back. Ivan shows up to his apartment and gives him this, like, it looks like a child's Polaroid camera. And it's like, here, this is the camera I got famous with, and, gives it to him. And it's just, again, placating him. Now, Albert's walking around with his Polaroid camera, taking photos of just like trash cans and stuff like that. Like, he doesn't know how to take pictures. Even there's a scene where he goes to a photo shop and says, like, there's something wrong with my camera. And he just realizes that he's like, when he's taking pictures, he's like thrusting the camera at objects when he's taking pictures, and that's why they're blurry. So yeah, it's just, again, there's some of these scenes where it's just like seeing a day in the life of Albert out there, following his delusion of being a photographer. Ultimately,
and, he also isn't holding the camera up to his eye, even looking. Like, he's holding it 2 arms straight out and just like pointing it. Like,
yeah, yep. So he ultimately, now he thinks, art, he needs to have a subject. He's trying to get, the pretty women to follow him around. As you might expect, the character of Albert takes a little bit of a turn, and you don't know exactly if it's Albert has been influenced by Ivan to think that, like, he takes a woman back to the quote unquote studio, right, in the evening. I think Ivan gets called out of the country. Albert starts taking, people to the studio and pretending it's his studio, pretending he is a photographer there. Things take a decidedly dark turn when he puts a bag over a girl's head. She's a prostitute, sex worker, brings her back. She obviously thinks that, he's just coming back to do prostitute stuff. And he's like, no, and he's like practicing how to talk down to her, kind of from what he learned from Ivan.
Yeah.
And she's just not really taking it very seriously. But she's like, hey, I'll suck your dick, blah, blah, whatever. She's like she's a stereotypical, not a high end sex worker, right? She's here to do a quick, $10 tug job type of thing. And he's like, no, I want to take pictures, and he's like making her pose and stuff. And then there's a scene when he's like, okay, put this bag over your head. And for some reason, that is the most ghastly request of all time. Now, of course, red flags. Don't put a plastic bag over your head. But it is funny that she does a quick, abrupt turn of like, how dare you request that of me? When she is, portrayed as this kind of track mark, low rent kind of prostitute. But
it's possible being that kind of person, because she's like a tragic figure in a lot of ways.
She's very sad. Because she's trying to be very upbeat and positive and like, but also she's being lured into this this very seethy situation too. But it's a situation she would be very comfortable in, I think.
Yeah, she willingly follows him into a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
But like, she just did it because she thought she was going to jerk him off or whatever. And then there's that weird bit where Albert goes off to prepare something and she's left alone, and she just starts like dancing. She just starts doing dance moves.
Yeah. And
so like, you can build this profile in your head of this person who moved to New York City to be a dancer, and things didn't go right, and now she's jerking off creeps on the street. Yeah. And then when he tells her
she's high. I mean, I think the idea is she's stoned out of her fucking gourd too.
Yeah, she doesn't look completely all there. Yeah. And then he tells her to put the bag on her head, and that like just sends her over the edge because it triggers it triggers something in her. Yeah, whatever it was, like, that's just a straight red, that was just a straight red line for her to not do that. Yeah, whether it's something similar happened to her already, or just like knows that's like a big no.
Yeah. And so Albert takes a real dark turn here. Instead of being the lovable goof who's being manipulated, murders this sex worker and just starts saying some wild shit about, he knows she's dead. It's not like he doesn't know that he murdered her. You know what I mean? Yeah. So up to this point, obviously he was introduced to this sleazy photographer and taking these fetish photos and stuff, but nobody's been killing people up to this point. You know what I mean? There was the illusion of violence in the fetish shoots, but nobody's been killing people. And Albert really takes a big old left turn and murders this person. And then cuts her up into a bunch of pieces. Like, he just really takes a left turn at this point.
It felt really abrupt and went really quick to get to that point. Yeah. Because like, okay, so we do see other snapshots of Albert in that, like, he's the type of simpleton who puts pornography on his walls. And there's a scene where like he's in the hot dog truck and he's looking at porn, just whacking off.
Oh, so, yeah, like, he's jerking off in the hot dog truck.
Yeah. So like he has like, real degenerate vibes to him. Yeah. And he has like a really bizarre dream of Ivan, and like there's a bunch of bubbles. And then this is the other way I thought it might have been a student film, because they show a naked woman who is like, her privates are completely shaved. And like, you almost never see like a full on shot of somebody's vagina like that. Yeah. That's, outside of pornography. Yeah. And then in that dream, Ivan shoots her with a pistol right in her fucking pussy. So
yeah, there's some red flags about Ivan. He's got some violent notions, in his brain. The sex mixes with the violence, so things are not you wouldn't want I keep saying Ivan, I mean Albert. You wouldn't want Albert to house sit for you when you were on vacation. No. Let's put it that way.
No, because he will jerk off on everything in your house.
Everything. He's going to smell all your dirty undies. He's going to jerk off on everything. Yeah, Albert's not a great guy, but it does take quite a left turn when he just murders and dismembers somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like maybe that should have been an accident the first time.
Yeah. That would have made more sense if it was like she slipped and fell and hit her head and he was just like, ooh, but pictures,
Yeah. Or he like put the bag over her head and thought they were playing a game.
Sure.
like, no, this is how I did it before with the other ladies.
Mhm.
Why are you struggling? Stop struggling. Don't tell the cops. I'm going to kill you. And like, that, like, that panic freak out of like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah. I wonder if, like, I almost feel like it would have been written like that, but then the performance and the there's not a lot of direction, I will say, happening in this movie. Like you had mentioned Ivan's lines, which I think he's a fairly certainly an experienced actor, but it does feel like he's just reading lines. He's not a lot of direction, not a lot of reaction to what's happening on screen. Weirdly enough, Ivan, most experienced actor by far, in terms of his movie credits, gives a horrible performance. Like, it's abysmal.
Yeah.
The way he's delivering his lines is so stilted, and it's like he's not even talking to somebody on screen.
Right. And that especially comes through where there's one or two scenes where he's on the phone with somebody else in the background, and like a person you don't even see. So he's delivering one side of the conversation and imagining the other side, and it is fucking up and down like the most wooden, like reading my lines performance. And it's like, all right. Thought it was a student film. So
yeah, the voiceover of the person he's talking on the phone with, though.
Oh, that's even worse.
Is really funny, though. They're saying such wild shit. I didn't write any of it down, but it was just like, it was really funny, some of the shit they were saying. Like, the person on the other end, again, we're supposed to assume these are very eccentric, artsy, fartsy type of people, but they're just saying wild stuff on the other side of the phone if you listen. Anyway, okay, so Albert is spiraling towards murdering people. He lures another woman back, murders her. The body count is rising here. Unless there's any other scenes you want to talk about, I was going to kind of go towards the end here. Because
I just like the other cutaway of, like, after Albert murders that woman, then he has like a fucking rave dance break on his own. And
weird extended, like, music video style rave dance party by himself.
Yeah. And there, I just like that there's kind of two cutaways to marry scenes of, one is pigeons on the street eating a hot dog, and then another is rats coming off from off screen to pull a hot dog apart. I was like, yeah, that's fun. I like that.
Yeah, tearing apart hot dogs. So yeah, towards the end, like I said, we know Albert, where he's at here. Then Sarah shows back up unexpectedly at the hot dog cart and is like, hey, Albert, I need help. I got kicked out. I got evicted. I don't have anywhere to stay. And Albert's like, well, you can stay in, my studio. I'm a big time photographer now, kind of thing. So you could stay in the studio I work at. She's like, really? Oh, that's so great. They go back. Albert's doing his whole scene, his whole shtick where he's like, I want to take pictures. And she's kind of feeling it because she is dressing up in all the, like, kind of costumes they have there. She puts on, like, a wedding dress. And for whatever reason, she's 100% on board. She's happy to have somewhere to stay. Obviously, she knows and trusts Albert, which is a mistake. But things are escalating. By the way, there are cops who play a very, very small role in this movie, who are tracking down the murders that are happening. They eventually trace it back to Albert, or to the studio, the photography studio. So they're kind of hot on the trail, rushing towards the studio. Long story short, one of the people that Albert kills is the makeup artist, and the makeup artist's significant other calls the police. And then that's how they kind of get on his trail. In any case, I guess the penultimate scene here is them kind of doing this little almost role play type of thing with Albert playing the photographer, but Sarah is very much into it. They're taking like sexy photos. Eventually, Albert pulls out the old bag over the head, and Sarah's like, sure, cool, this is funny for some reason, is very on board with it. And then it becomes like a kind of a turn on for her. And for whatever reason, this is the thing Albert has wanted the whole time. He wanted Sarah to like him because he's a photographer and blah, blah, blah. Well, it's actually kind of happening. It's coming to fruition. She's getting very caught up in the moment. She's like, kiss me, Albert. You know, when he has the bag over her head. The cops come up the fire escape, see that he's on top of her with the bag over her head. Obviously, in this instance, it's consensual, but they just blast him, just kill him, shoot him in the head. She screams, blood everywhere. Cut to, it's Albert's funeral, right? The only two people at Albert's funeral. It's a very sad funeral, as you might imagine. Little funeral home. No one's there. There's a casket. There's a really horrible picture of Albert, like blown up on like a standee, not a standee, but like like an easel. And then the only people in attendance at Albert's funeral were Ivan and Sarah. And they start talking about where, you know, how they know Albert. And Ivan is very pissed off at Albert at this point because he's murdered people in his studio while he was out of the country and killed his makeup artist. And Ivan's very, you know, he's kind of a sociopath. So his whole thing is like, where am I going to get another? He doesn't give a shit about these people. He's just like, you've created problems for me. Where am I going to get another makeup artist? You know, that sort of thing. So he's pissed at Ivan in death, you know, and Sarah is sad about it. Ivan immediately starts to do his routine with Sarah. Like, I'm a photographer, you know, kind of thing. Like, what basically is like almost seducing Sarah. Says like, come on, you know, come in my limo. You can come back to my studio or whatever. And then the final scene is Ivan going up to the casket, opening it up, and there you see Albert with like his face all blown apart, basically, in the casket. And, you know, Ivan's going to live on, continue to do his thing. And, you know, he's going to assumingly, you know, victimize Sarah in some capacity. Yeah.
Yeah. They're in the limo and he starts rubbing her thigh.
Oh, yes. That was the even scene after that. They're in the limo. First of all, drinking wine in what appears to be the morning in a not that nice limo. Like, it's just a sad scene. And she's kind of like, you know, she's there and they're not talking. It's silence. And then he starts reaching over and like massaging her leg. You're like, oh, no.
Ugh.
Yeah. And that's it. That is Bag Boy Lover Boy from 2014. Like I said, an interesting film, a film that I liked the unpredictable nature of where it was going. But I would not say it's a good movie or a movie that is an interesting movie, very much on theme with the art and kind of the honestly very similar themes to your movie, and like people using art and the nebulous nature of art to manipulate people and just be grifters, basically.
Yeah. Which I also thought it had similar themes to your film of a guy who is completely misdirected in what he believes.
Yeah, sure.
And leads himself down a bad path and then, you know, kills a lot of people in service of, you know, a woman that he was chasing. So
yeah, true. Very true. Very true. Yeah, these movies really do kind of intertwine pretty well. These three movies, if you think about it. All right. Any final thoughts on Bag Boy Lover Boy before we jump into Murder Party?
No, I thought it was a good pick by our patrons because it was a film I hadn't seen before, and it delivered on what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I'm gonna go back and watch it. Oh, fucking goddamn Albert and his digging in bugs. He was digging bugs in the hot dog cart too.
Oh,
just fucking asshole gross.
He's always dropping hot dogs on the ground too, and then like putting them back on the grill. It's pretty gross. And that's how the first argument with these like drunk yuppies is, because he dropped the hot dog on the ground and is going to serve it to them. And they're mad about that, as one would be. And that's the way Ivan kind of gets in good with Albert, is he's like, no, hot dogs on the ground are good. Give me a ground hot dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And he also is.
That was the funniest.
I forgot
that
about
was the funniest part of the whole film.
That might have been the
brings it up
bit
in the chat. Is there's a scene where it's when I think her name was Sarah, but it might have been
we might be
Nancy.
getting two of the female characters mixed up.
Yeah. It might have been Nancy, but like, the girl that Albert is kind of crushing on comes up to the cart, and Albert says, "Can you watch it for a moment?" And he does this terrible goof ass run out from behind the cart.
Yeah.
And you wonder, oh, where's he going to go to the bathroom? He's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. He runs out from behind the cart, and then he stays in the frame of the camera and runs up to just a doorstop and just pisses on the fucking front door of
he pisses on the
building.
Stoop. You're like, you think he's going to go like behind a, like in an alley or, away from view. No, he actually makes himself more visible by walking upstairs and pissing on the stoop. And then, of course, he's not washing his hands. He's going right back to work in food service.
Yeah, that was the funniest and like the most joke of the film. But otherwise, check it out. It's free on Tubi. It's
definitely worth a watch.
It's less than 90 minutes, so give yourself a chance.
Tight watch. If you want to be a little bit grossed out, if you want to kind of feel bad, which sometimes I do, go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Steven, would you like to jump into Murder Party?
I would like to jump into Murder Party because I thought Murder Party was the perfect movie for right now at this very moment. And it'll be dated, after this, but it's perfect right now.
Yeah.
Murder Party. It's got everything. It's got spooky Halloween vibes. So
big
we're going
Halloween
right into
vibes.
it.
And
big
also
Halloween
what
vibes.
I like, big, high end, high budget, spooky Halloween vibes. But I also like just kind of grimy, white trash, spooky Halloween vibes too.
Yeah. I mean, like Bag Boy, Lover Boy, this film is under 90 minutes and was filmed in New York City. Mm-hmm. So they have those in common as well. But there's a lot of the spooky Halloween vibes is just filming people on the street. I think they filmed probably just during actual Halloween and just got, people on the street in their costumes. So there's one thing. We got that going. Mm-hmm. It definitely fits the prompt of death for the sake of art, because there's literally a line that just basically cements that. Mm-hmm. But also, it's directed by Jeremy Saulnier, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with Green Room and Blue Ruin.
Mm-hmm.
But it stars Macon Blair, who currently has the Toxic Avenger in theaters now, which he wrote and directed. And the main character of this film, Murder Party, who is played by Christopher Sharp, who plays Christopher S. Hawley, apparently plays a very similar character in the Toxic Avenger. He plays a toll booth guard, C.S. Hawley. I haven't seen the film yet.
No, I haven't either.
I believe he reprises his role from Murder Party in the Toxic Avenger. So
that's such a random connection.
Yeah. So, but Murder Party 2007. I've written about this film on our Patreon, 31 Days of Horror, in the past. Mm-hmm. Can't remember if I wrote it on the first year or the year after, but this film is like one of my watch it every year for Halloween type films. Like, I love this film so much. It was a film that came into my life the film came out in 2007. So I think I might have seen it like 2008, 2009, but it was right around the time I was just finishing up film school. Mm-hmm. And like, it spoke to me on every level, because even though a lot of the the artists in this film come from different disciplines, it was the very much same type of thing, like in film school, of like, it was very cliquey, very people talking behind each other's backs, a lot of flakiness, a lot of self-assurance when you're still just in school. Like, you don't have it. Like, you think you have it, you don't have it.
I can imagine. And listen, never been to art school, but I can imagine it has the potential to be one of the most insufferable places of all time. They're everybody is so far up their ass. And even as a person who thinks that they weren't up their own ass, I was also probably way up my own ass. Sure. Yeah. Listen, you're in your early 20s, a bunch of like late teens, early 20s who are going to school for art. Like, you're so creative that you get to go and do this for a living.
Yeah. But I also like, I found connections to like even the character of Bill in this film. Sure.
The one who's just playing his PSP.
Yeah. We can talk about it when we get to them all. But I just found connections to like all of these characters, and just a very funny, a very funny film as well. And it's just very interesting. Like, this was like Jeremy Saulnier's, I believe, debut feature, made with basically just all of his friends in, kind of pre-hipster takeover Williamsburg, Brooklyn, New York.
Transitional, like, Brooklyn.
Yeah, transitional. Yeah, because I feel like everybody kind of got the word about hipsters in 2010. So like, if this was shot in like 2006, 2007. Like, they were just starting to gentrify it with the whites. Yeah. But let's get into the film. Like we said, it opens up on kind of like this amazing opening Halloween vibes of the neighborhood. You're seeing people run around in costumes. You're seeing decorations on the street, and it's like wonderful fall vibes with leaves everywhere. We're seeing kind of snapshots of our main character that we'll come to know, because he's a parking enforcement agent. So he's like doling out tickets and getting screamed at by people on the street.
Maybe one of the worst jobs I can imagine.
Just awful.
Giving people parking tickets, that's gotta suck.
Why would you sign up for that? Just signing up to be the worst narc that also gets screamed at and you don't carry a gun.
It's tricky.
You gotta be really desperate.
you gotta really hate yourself. One or the other.
Yeah. And we learn like this character, does in a lot of ways. So, but then we get this like cool, mysterious, invitation floating down the sidewalk, propelled on its own towards its own destiny, and it's going past the legs of other people walking down the sidewalk, and it stops in front of our main character. He opens it up and it invites him to a murder party and says, "Come alone." And it's like, okay, interesting.
Especially if you're like, you get the vibe immediately when you go into his house that he's lonely, doesn't have much of a social life. So this feels very heaven sent.
Yeah. It feels like destiny, because he takes it into his house and he just wanted to buy some videotapes and watch some horror movies while giving out candy. But his disrespectful ass cat would not get out of the chair.
Yeah. So the joke is like, he's so put upon that he's being bullied by his cat. So he can't even have the night, the quiet Halloween that he wanted, because he's being bullied by his cat.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's just a shot of a cat. Like, the cat isn't being
staring
rude.
Up at him. Just, already has hair all over his chair. He's got one chair, right? So it's like, he either sits in the chair or he sits nowhere.
Right. You can have the chair for movies or you can have nothing. His disrespectful ass cat bullies him out of the house. He instead makes a pumpkin bread out of the jack-o'-lantern that was smashed on his stoop. Sets out a bowl of candy corn, makes himself a costume out of cardboard boxes that looks like the Black Knight from the Monty Python film.
Right.
And he goes to the murder party.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he shows up to the murder party, it's not, it immediately loses the kind of the magic of the way the invitation found him.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just a bunch of college kids fucking like doing drugs and wearing shitty costumes.
Like in a weird warehouse. So like, it's funny because once he sets out to do this thing, he's very much a, life gives you lemons, make lemonade, right? So like the cat's sitting in his chair. So you know what? Fuck it. That's all the push I needed to do all this stuff. So you watch him. The character study is like, he's very patient and he's going to work things through because it's a show don't tell because he's like, he makes the bread. He's literally baking bread, right? Baking like a pumpkin bread. And then he's going to take the candy corn out and put it on the stoop. He's got his, he's got something else he's carrying. I forget, but they literally show him trying to go out the door and lock the door with all these things in his hand. So he has to put things down, open the door, pick it back up, close the door, lock the door. So you just see his very deliberate nature in which he operates. And then he has to go to the murder party, which he just has an address. And it is such a farther walk than he anticipated into like an industrial area. It's not like he's in a neighborhood. No.
Yeah, he winds up at Construction Junction.
Yeah, it's just a fucking
for Pittsburgh reference.
Yeah, he's just in a warehouse, and he's just like he's not going to be put off of his plan. He continues to go until he finds this warehouse full of fucking college kids just like doing drugs, and that's about it.
You get some other like fine details about his character as well, because like he has an alarm watch that goes off at very specific times so he can take, I'm assuming it's his anti-anxiety medicine,
right?
And then just this scene always sticks with me, but it's the scene on the subway where he's sitting staring straight ahead as kind of like this street rapper is rapping directly at him,
right into his face, basically.
Yeah, aggressively rapping at him. And he's like, he ends with like, "These aren't no regular lyrics. This is your obituary." And then just the way he cocks his head and leans forward again into him, he's just like, "What do you think about that?" Like he doesn't say it, but just the way of, "What do you think about that, white boy?" Just
and he's just 100% like staring ahead. Like his eyes are kind of wide because he's obviously alarmed and threatened, but he's just like, "I'm just gonna ride this out until it's over."
Yeah, he's just so panicked, but I love that scene every time. Just the way that guy leans into it is so fucking funny to me. But yeah, at the murder party, this is where we meet the cast of characters who are going to murder him. We have Macon Blair as Macon, who is like an art installation type artist. It's never really clear. You don't see his art per se. He just like makes a bunch of shit up and just like does like physical installation art. He's dressed as a werewolf. Lexi, who is a avant-garde filmmaker, is dressed as Pris from Blade Runner. And we have Bill, who is dressed as one of the baseball furies from the Warriors. Yeah. Which, like, again, I had just seen the Warriors like not too long before I'd seen this film. So I was just all jazzed up on the Warriors when I saw this movie. I was like,
well, these movie. Are just like, this is aged fairly like gracefully in that these just feel like such archetypical costumes. Like if he wasn't dressed as one of the guys from the Warriors, he would have been dressed as one of the guys from Clockwork Orange or something. You know what I mean? Right, like he's just, it's just one of those few like edgelord costumes that you might expect from an early 2000s college student.
Yeah. It like all the costumes are, they're not deep dives, but like they're deep or references. Yeah, like
they want to be thought of as clever for these costumes.
Right. Yeah. So like the Warriors is a little deeper. Blade Runner is a little deeper. And even Monty Python is a little deeper. Like,
sure.
I think it's the most recognizable. But yeah, like other than that, Macon is dressed as like a shitty werewolf, which I think I've just done that costume before.
Sure. Everyone's just like wear a hoodie and a flannel and put a
hoodie, a flannel,
on.
and a mask. Yep. So I'm pretty sure I've done that costume before. And then Paul, the photographer, is the only one who went all out and like bought a whole bunch of pieces for his vampire costume, and then like shaved it down into the mutton chops. Yep, we get introduced to all these characters. There's also another character, Sky. She gets killed pretty quickly because she's eating the pumpkin bread that Chris made, and she's like, "Oh, are these raisins organic?" And he's like, "No." And she just goes, "Oh, okay, well, I just get a little dizzy," and then just falls and hits her head on a pipe and then dies.
Yeah.
And it's one of the funnier deaths because she hits her head on a pipe, comes up and goes, "What smells like grass?"
Yeah.
What?
And like you don't notice at first till she turns her head, and she's already like dressed like a zombie cheerleader kind of. And she turns her head to the side, and you just see like blood just gushing out of this wound in her head.
Yeah. Which is another thing that's kind of impressive with this film is like for it being like such a low budget, first feature, there is a lot of like good makeup and just blood effects in it.
Sure. Yeah. There's one that every time I think this is maybe the third time I've watched this movie. Maybe it's only the second, but I both times remember thinking, wow, that was poorly done. But there's literally only one. Otherwise, which we'll get to, the rest of them I think are really good, especially like, the blood spouting out. There's a burn, later that they do. No, you don't see the burn, but you see the effects of the burn.
Right. Yeah. The effects of the burn are what's great. Yeah. So, but yeah, they take Chris hostage. They tie him up in a chair. After his pumpkin bread kills Sky, Macon says, "Let's fucking do this," and then grabs a bottle of acid to throw on Chris. And then it turns out to be vinegar because he's too fucking stupid.
They're too stupid to know what type of acid. But we should mention like the idea here is there's these kids are so pretentious and up their own ass that they think that their ultimate, art installation, because they're a bunch of bored shithead college kids, is that on Halloween night, they are going to collectively enter into a murder pact and murder a random stranger. And he just happened to, and you could tell they all kind of didn't think it was actually going to happen. It was just an edgelord thing that they all decided to do together. Yeah. And then they're all kind of surprised and taken aback when someone actually shows up to be a candidate for murder.
Yeah. Yeah, like this is all organized by another character, Alexander, who hasn't shown up yet. Yeah. But they have been taken in by this character, Alexander. And so this is where, like, once you learn about this character, Alexander, this is where all of these, art fiends kind of lose their, they lose, like, the genuine nature. Like, they're not here to kill somebody in the name of art. They're going to kill somebody for money because what they want is they want the money that Alexander has promised as a grant.
Yeah. Yeah. He's set himself up as he's this rich kid who's like, he has established a reputation as being this very talented artist, even though they've never really seen anything. He's, they're all being grifted by him. And it's pretty clear right off the bat, is not unlike, character in the first movie we talked about, not unlike Albert, they are allowing.
Well, I was going to say Alexander's like Ivan, but yes, the kids are like Albert. Yeah.
Yeah. They are being allowing the wool to be pulled over their eyes for the sake of money, for the promise of money.
Yeah, but there's no authenticity in their art at all.
Yeah,
and you kind of get vibes of that from the little bits of art that you do see, like Lexi tries to show off, her video installation that to oh fuck, another connection, because I just realized it's Lexi in a bathtub having hot dogs thrown on top of her.
Yeah. And she's like screaming like she's being tortured, but she's just getting hit by hot dogs.
Yeah, and then she calls it Valediction in Black. Which just, how fucking eye rolling of a title. And then it's her screaming in a bathtub as hot dogs are thrown at her.
Yeah.
And then after she shows it to Alexander, nobody says anything about it, but she to herself goes, "Oh God, it's so good." Like she just compliments herself.
Yeah. She's so impressed by herself. Yeah.
Yeah, which is what they all are. Like they're all, so up their own ass about what they're, how good they are. But yeah, Alexander comes along and, we get these plot points of like, okay, this is why they're going to kill him, because they think they're going to get $300,000, whoever the winner is, or they get it as a collective. And then they start trying to plot his murder. And it just devolves into like different group dynamics. Because they start like doing drugs, and the drugs lead to Alexander and Lexi banging in a back room. And then this is where it gets more apparent that like Macon is like hopelessly unrequitedly in love with Lexi. And like this is a thing that comes up repeatedly.
Yep.
We get that Paul is very much like kind of fed up. And is the only one actually trying to do anything, because he's a photographer and he's trying to take pictures, of Chris. And he's the only one trying to get anything done. Everybody else has that flaky art student thing about them.
Sure.
Of like, you say you're going to do something, but, like Lexi is just touting the one thing that she did. Macon isn't actually doing anything except getting drunk. And Bill is sort of doing something. We never really see what, but he's also just playing his PSP.
Yeah, right. I think the other character we haven't mentioned yet, I forget his name's, I forget what his name is, but he's
Zyko.
Zyko. Alexander shows up with his new best friend Zyko, which is he's like a Polish drug dealer or something.
Yeah. This again, that's just a line that sticks with me, because the line is, "Oh, this is Zyko, my drug dealer. He deals out of the back of his parents' pierogi shop." It's just something about dealing out of the back of a pierogi shop is funny to me.
Yeah, and he's also dressed just like exactly how you would expect a Polish drug dealer, a 20-some-year-old Polish drug dealer to dress. He's got like a windbreaker, and he. Yeah.
Which, interestingly, the actor who plays this character, Zyko, Bill, his name is Bill Tangradi. And he, aside from Macon, it seems to be like one of the most working actors of this film. Like afterwards, like he has just a whole bunch of like, spots. Like he does like a lot of background spots on shows, but still works. Like he's on 2 episodes of Yellowstone, and
look at that,
was on 2 episodes of the Twin Peaks reboot. So yeah, this guy continues to work. But yeah, he's one of the few people that kind of worked after this film. Like some of the people in Murder Party also show up in Blue Ruin. But yeah, other than that, Jeremy Saulnier and Macon Blair are kind of the only ones who came out of Murder Party as like established. Got popular, got famous. So, yeah, Alexander, introduces the idea that, okay, you guys can't decide how we're going to kill him. So what we're going to do is we're going to kill him at the witching hour. Isn't that so original? Yeah.
So like, it also puts a little bit of a timer on the movie, too. So it's like, we have time to kill.
Yeah, they have time to kill, but everybody goes along with it because everybody's like, oh, yeah, Alexander, you're so brilliant. They got to kiss his ass to get his money. So great. But in that meantime, they start playing around with sodium pentothal, and doing a truth or dare, kind of circle. And it leads to like just them confessing a lot about themselves. And you get like, Macon delivering like this really sad sack story about like, hey Lexi, remember when we were up by the water towers and then you went home with that other guy, the guy with the earlobes?
And she just doesn't even like, she doesn't even remember it.
She doesn't remember it until he mentions the guy she went home with.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, I saved your popsicle stick from that night. Like,
yeah.
And then another great line is just like, they're going around, they're asking each other like, what do you do? What do you talk about? And then Macon's just like, I mostly talk about her. Because he just can't escape the truth serum.
Yeah.
I also love Paul's, like, I can lie on this. And they're like, okay, ask me what my favorite color is. He's like, blue. He's like, nope, it's actually purple. But then they're like, okay, well, what's your favorite food? And he just goes, I think I'm bisexual.
Yeah. He just kind of like confesses all of his like confusion about his sexuality.
Yeah. But it all leads up to Chris telling the most insane story for no reason. Like, I mean, other than that he's under sodium pentothal.
Yeah.
And it leads to the funniest line, but he talks about how he first goes, I dumped myself.
Yeah.
And everybody goes to move away from him. And he's like, no, I was at my brother's wedding and I got really sick and I dumped in my pants and I had to climb up 6 stories. I had to climb up 6 flights of stairs. And it goes, it touched my socks.
That's the last line. Yeah.
It touched my socks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the film does slow down for like a lot of this because it's just like we're getting more reveals about like kind of the interpersonal connections and like how Bill is not a part of any of it. And, Paul obviously makes a big reveal about himself. And, we have this interpersonal connection between Macon and Lexi going on. But it's not until like, Alexander sends Zyko out to go get Crank specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He sends him off to get Crank. They're partying and, Macon is just getting blackout drunk on moonshine because, Lexi is ignoring him, but also having sex with Alexander, and it's just, breaking him down. And Zyko comes back with Crank. Macon goes out for a smoke and sets himself on fire.
Yeah, because he's soaked with grain alcohol.
Yeah, just soaked with it. And it just breaks down into chaos because then you have like Lexi going outside and she just comes running in and like, oh, Macon's on fire, and like trying to find, these the fire extinguishers. Meanwhile, Paul is accusing Alexander because he kind of catches on to the idea that Alexander does not produce anything. Alexander does not have any actual money to give to them. And he hits him with a dose of the sodium pentothal. And, it settles down into like, Alexander, you're a fraud. And then a hard cut to Alexander just like, yeah, I don't have any money.
Yeah, and also like Alexander isn't even his real name.
Yeah,
he just lives with he just lives with his like grandma in like Long Island or something. Yeah, he's just a complete fraud.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a fry cook. I live with my grandma. And like Lexi's like, is your name even Alexander? He's like, no, it's Tim.
And he's like just grinning the whole time because he's on sodium pentothal. So he's like, none of this has any consequence to him at that moment. But you also get the idea that he is in fact a sociopath. Like he's not just grifting. Like he has this dog that's with him the whole time. And he's just comes out and says like, oh, I'm going to put that dog to sleep on Monday. They're like, why? It's like, because it's not cute anymore. I only like puppies. Like he's just an absolute sociopath that's just, preying on this very vulnerable, insecure, group of artists.
Mm-hmm. And the big reveal is that he was just planning on killing them all in this warehouse. Like he wasn't even going. It didn't matter whether or not somebody showed up for the murder party, because the real plan is to kill all of them, and now that they're dead, sell their art.
Yeah,
and actually
because
profit off it.
It was going to be worth more now that they're dead.
Right. Yeah. So that's what he was aiming for. Like, it didn't matter. It was a murder party for them. Their murder.
Yeah. He keeps saying the whole time, like, I have so many things planned, and he keeps hinting at all his plans.
Yeah.
So this is not that surprising.
Yeah. And then you go through like his like little black book, and he pathetically keeps like notes of words to use with them. Like he hears a word out in the world.
Up his like art cred with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, wait, do you write things down in here to say later? He's like, yeah.
Yeah. Undeterred, Paul is going to continue to take photos. Everybody else is kind of disheartened. Macon is burned, practically to death. Zyko comes back with the crank, and Tim Alexander just gives him the go word to just shoot him, just shoot everybody.
Yeah.
And he just starts killing everybody. He kills Paul. He kills Paul's assistant, the lighting assistant.
Yeah.
Lexi jumps on his back just the same way Pris does in Blade Runner. And then we get a great reveal that like Macon is still alive, but his werewolf mask has been like melted to his face.
Right.
And he comes back with a chainsaw. They have an electric chainsaw that has the Texas Chainsaw 2 Old Painless on it. And he comes back, plugs the chainsaw in, and cuts off Zyko's leg. As they're
the joke
wrestling
of this
on the ground.
Is he keeps trying to do like threatening things with the chainsaw, but it's an electric chainsaw, so it's not nearly as threatening. And also, he's constantly running out of slack on his extension cord.
Yeah, it's not a great tool. Then we have Alexander tries to run off, but gets attacked by his dog that he brought, because the dog had been eating the crank that Zyko brought back.
That was probably my only thing that both times I watched this movie I was disappointed in, is like Alexander gets a pretty unsatisfying death, because it happens off screen, and when he comes back on, he's got this like, they put this kind of like prosthetic over his mouth to make it look like the dog, who's wound up on crank, but the dog is also very calm, so you never see the dog like getting upset or getting fired up on the crank, which is like, that's hard to do, I get it, but then he just like, he goes off into another room, the dog just kind of trots after him, then he comes out and his face is supposedly like kind of mangled, like the dog ate his face off,
bit his lips off,
but it's like this prosthetic that just looks like his teeth exposed, and it just looks bad. That one never really worked for me either. The dog, Hellhammer, is credited as Samson Saulnier, so I'm assuming that was Jeremy Saulnier's dog. Somebody's dog.
So he just got his dog to do a little bit of acting, which like, sure. I mean, getting the bag of crank off the fridge and then eating it is that's more direction to getting out of a dog than most people can get. So
that's true. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not hard. It's just I think it would have worked better if it was like, honestly, just made it super corny, and it was like Alexander laying there and they just had like fake dog paws, like and he's like fighting them off or something for a second. I could have saw that working better instead of just they go into a room, he comes back out without lips.
Yeah, or just like he never comes back. You just see like blood fountains coming out of the darkness.
Sure, that would have been even better. That would have not that it would have been good, but it would have worked better than what they ended up doing. But
yeah, I do think they had to do it that way though, because the main thing is more about Bill. getting kind of the final blow on Alexander, because Bill, we've been seeing throughout the film, is an outsider. It seems like the rest of the people don't really like him. He doesn't interact with people for the most part, and at one point they lure him out of the room, so they tell him to go check on the dog so he can come. So while he's away, Alexander, Lexi, and Paul all spend time criticizing whatever Bill's been painting, half-heartedly in his time there. And, they're just running down Bill's work. And obviously Bill comes back and hears it. So I kind of sort of felt like I knew somebody like this in film school.
Sure.
Is just a really disconnected person. And I wasn't sure why they were there. And they were in my screenwriting class. And they wrote like just the most unnecessarily violent scripts.
Sure.
Like, it was a lot of just like, I don't know, just a lot of like sex assault and a lot of like other types of violence that I was just like, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't go anywhere. This is just like really bizarre fucking writing. And I remember we were supposed to like take 3 scripts, during screenwriting class. You would take 3 scripts and review them and kind of like mark them with pen, like what what your concerns about the script was, or if you liked something. And I just found myself like going through this one guy's scripts all the time and just like making like terrible marks in them of like, what is this? Why are you like, don't write about this? Yeah. Like, this is disturbed stuff, and that's coming from me. Like, you seem like a disturbed individual. But then I stopped doing it because I was like, wait a minute, if this guy's coming off as disturbed to me, like if I'm getting upset reading his stuff and it's not like artistic value, it's just like writing violence and rape for the sake of writing it, I'm just like, I shouldn't push him. Because
I was gonna say he's got it's Steve Buscemi's character from Billy Madison, you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like I shouldn't actually push him and like tell him his art is bad. It's just like, I don't know, this has got to be for somebody else to sort out. There's a professor who can like call somebody. I'm not gonna be that. But I thought about that guy, and like he eventually fucking failed out of the film program, because you had to like keep good grades and shit. So yeah, whatever. I never saw him again, but he was just like a really unpleasant, disturbed character. I associated him with Bill because what happens with Bill is like, the little bit of criticism, Bill just loses it. And like, after spending all his time playing violent video games, he like rejects the art world and just fucking starts killing everybody who made fun of his artwork and took advantage of him.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Bill is like it's kind of suggested that Bill is the only one that actually has some genuine talent. And so the rest of the artists in this little collective are threatened by him.
Right.
Because he's the only one who actually does art and is talented. And we even get like that confirmation later when they go to, they keep talking about Cicero's party. And eventually they end up there. But like when they find him, like he does mention that like Bill is like a really good muralist or a really good painter. So like Bill has allowed himself to be affected by these wannabes, even though he is the only one with any actual talent. And it's like he ends up he's no better than them because he's bought into this same thing.
Yeah. And like he feels more dejected than anybody else because not only is like Alexander and others criticizing him, and like they told him like, we're going to kick you out of the collective because we're jealous of you. But then also they criticize his artwork in a way that like puts it down because they're sucking up to Alexander in that scene. Yeah. Of like Alexander's like, ooh, what do we think about this? And they're like, it's shit, it's trash. He's like, it's bland, it's derivative. Yeah. But, Bill takes it to heart and throws his painting away. And it feels kind of like a little bit of a Pulp Fiction, what's in the briefcase situation. Because we never see what Bill is actually producing. Like, is he actually producing something good? But we assume he is because he gets that confirmation from Cicero. But then that also gets turned because Cicero then asks about Alexander.
Yeah.
So it's like
because he wants the grant money too, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like it feels like Bill is bought in to like Cicero praising him, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, like maybe I am a good artist. Mm-hmm. And then Cicero goes, oh, and have you seen Alexander? And it's like, no, it's part of it's all just back to the the fucking bullshit, the fakeness of it all. Yeah. But yeah, we get a pretty great chase scene after Bill has killed everybody and everybody else who was shot by Zyko is dead. We're left with Chris and Macon and Bill. And Bill is trying to kill Chris because everybody dies, according to Bill. Macon is chasing Bill because Bill killed Lexi. So we have this 3-man chase scene, and Macon is slow behind because he's wrapped up in his power cord for the chainsaw. Yeah. But I think it's a pretty good like production value to get. They're running through Construction Junction. They're running up that kind of load-in mail slot that has there's just gags. It's just bits and gags the whole way through this chase scene. I would say it probably runs about 3 to 4 minutes long. It's like a 5-minute chase scene that should have been like 2 minutes. But there's a gag where like he goes up this escalator, and then as Bill's coming up after him, he turns it the other direction, so Bill gets sent down, and then Bill has to turn it back on to go back up. And then there's these bits where like Bill is just like the Jason, the Michael Myers. He's just like stalking him, so he's running and just like keeps looking behind him and stumbling. But then he like tries to hide, but then he keeps finding him, and he just keeps running. And it's like these are all some good bits, but it definitely it wears out its welcome after about 3 to 4 minutes. You're like, oh, good God, this could be over now. I felt like because it had so many bits, because they made the most of the like using actual Brooklyn rooftops.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think making the most out of a location that wouldn't be common in most low budget films, unless you're Frank Henenlotter or Larry Cohen just fucking shooting guerrilla style, doing as you please. Mm-hmm. They got the most out of that. I think the bit where Chris lays down on that tiny little ledge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was a good bit. He just hides behind this, and then he gets it seems to work, but then his watch goes off.
Yeah, his watch tattles on him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then they wind up at Cicero's party, and again, just another funny bit. Chris comes storming into this rooftop party, screaming, "Call 911! I need a cell phone! I need a cell phone!" He opens the door to the stairwell and gets in the stairwell, and there's just a guy dressed as a big cell phone.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, that's great.
A lot of visual gags, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you have a chase scene through a party, which is, again, more production because it's a full party. You have, like, a whole bunch of spooky Halloween lights going on. Bill's chasing him through, like, the set decorations. They run through a gallery that was probably like an actual art gallery being used for something. Mm-hmm. And then, Chris like tries to hide within this still life person like kind of installation. And he runs in, and like there is just a bunch of naked people with body paint all over him. Mm-hmm. And again, funny editing gag. He sees, a couple naked people, and then he sees 2 really hot women, and then cut to their boobs, and then cut to somebody else, and then cut back to their boobs. Funny editing gag.
Sure. Yeah, it's just like, oh, he can't help but like in that moment, this is just not a thing he's exposed to. So
right, yeah.
Even when his life is being threatened, he's like, oh my God, boobs.
Yeah, oh my God, these ladies are so hot and their boobs are out.
Yeah.
I'm in mortal danger, everybody, but
right.
So yeah, Bill chases him into this installation. Bill starts just hacking apart everybody else in the installation. And when he goes to go for Chris, that's the exact time that Macon finds a power source for his saw on the roof and then takes a header off the fucking roof.
Yeah.
But leaving, the chainsaw dangling right in front of the window, and Chris grabs the chainsaw and just rams it into Bill's face, essentially finally saving his life. And just like, there's a lot of Chris pleading in this scene of like, just stop killing everybody. What is wrong with you? Stop it. And then as he's chainsawing his face, he's going, oh, gross.
Yeah, he's not, this isn't like a revenge thing. He is still being put upon by essentially being forced to chainsaw someone's face against his own will.
Yeah, he's not happy about any of this. He's not relieved. It's just like, oh, no, yuck.
Yeah, there's blood shooting everywhere.
Yeah. And then he's just like, I just wanted to go to a party. And shoves a giant jack-o'-lantern on his head.
I think maybe my favorite gag of the whole movie, ongoing gag, is that Chris refuses throughout the entire movie to the very bitter end, refuses to take off any component of his costume.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of cumbersome. It's inhibiting like his ability to his peripheral vision. Like it's like a chest plate. It's all made of cardboard, but it's like a chest plate, like forearm kind of bands, a big tall helmet. Like even when he's trying to hide, the helmet is obviously inhibiting him, but he refuses to take it off. Yeah. It doesn't even appear to ever cross his mind that he should take it off.
It even gives him away, because when they're in the party and he's trying to sneak behind that screen, he's sneaking behind that screen, and then he looks in profile to reveal that very obvious helmet, which is, it has kind of the spikes sticking out of it. And Bill looks at that silhouette and immediately knows who he's looking at. So, yeah, just a great setup. But yeah, Chris finally escapes. And he goes back to the subway and realizes he doesn't have like his MTA card or any cash on him or anything. So he just has to walk home. Like it's just a very like still in character of like, he doesn't want to break the law. He's not a bad guy. He even though he's found more confidence in himself, it still doesn't cause him to go above and beyond in another way that like, makes him hop the turnstile. Yeah. So he just has to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge and is walking through fucking a dirty parking lot. And, he does find the confidence that he just throws away his anti-anxiety medication, because like, what did it serve him in this situation?
Right. Yeah.
And then, a final, wrap up of he goes home, and Sir Lancelot, his disrespectful ass cat, is still sitting in his chair, and he just, politely asks him, Sir Lancelot, can you get down, please? And then eventually the cat does, and he sits down and has some candy corn and watches his movies.
Yeah. So after all that, it's a great, albeit a small step, of a nice little bookend to like, he has grown in some capacity, albeit maybe a small one in his own way. But
yeah. It is small character growth. It's, I guess you could maybe criticize it a little bit because we do spend so much time with all the other art student characters that they more dominate the space and don't necessarily allow Chris to grow. Like there isn't as much interaction between them and Chris, because most of the time he spends it tied up in the chair and gagged. Yeah. He does take some actions to, like either free himself or try to run away, but he's just, mostly ineffectual in all of those attempts.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's kind of, being put upon the whole time. But yeah, aside from the beginning and the end, he actually has not a lot of lines. He's much less the focal point of like the middle third of the movie. Is like he feels like he's barely in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But,
Yeah, like he's a witness and he has some participation, but yeah, he doesn't do as much as maybe he could to like free himself or turn the group against itself to get their attention off of him.
Yeah, I mean the
like
characters
he's not devious.
No, the characters are all very interesting though. So like you're not missing it. You're not like, where's this going? Because you're seeing all the conflict between, the group of artists. They're all like insufferable, but like one is even more. Alexander is extremely insufferable. So you're like really waiting for him to get his comeuppance, but they all are in their own way. But yeah.
Yep.
Super, super entertaining movie. Like I said, I think second watch for me. And I liked it the first time, but I forgot how good this movie is, how fun this movie is.
Yeah.
And how many great, Halloween vibes there are to it. So,
yeah. Yeah. That's the other thing. It ends, as, Chris is going back home. It's more Halloween vibes, but it's like obviously the night after. And it's a lot of like, broken eggshells in the gutter and, toilet paper on shit. So yeah.
Yeah. It's like the harsh light of November 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right. I'm going to do a quick bathroom break and refill my coffee. So give me like 5.
Continued in part 2.